Welcome to the round 21 preview here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It is Carlton and Collingwood. We've made it back. The rematch. The final rematch that we will see in 2024. And boy, is it the best one yet. It's been a disappointing month, results-wise, performance-wise. There's frustration building after putting ourselves in a really strong position on the ladder and in the season. We have now seen a bit of a dip in, I think, the connection, I think the focus. I think we've seen a slight waver in what we know this group have been able to do for a long period of time now. And questions are always going to be asked after a loss. And questions are being asked after not only a loss, but 3 out of the last 4. And that's the way it goes. Port Adelaide, credit to them. We're hungrier for longer, and they found us out, and we got caught yet again, suffering defeat to a team who really were more desperate on the night. And that's the way it goes. And that is beautiful. That is the game. That's how it is. You only need to be, not even 5% off, but let's just say 5%. 5% is the difference between winning and losing in this league. And that's what makes it such a special sport. We are quick to draw conclusions, not only as Carlton people, but I think as a league. I think a week ago, Sydney were unbeatable. Then they suffer a really significant defeat at home to the Dogs. And now the credentials are being questioned. Carlton's a really easy target when we're losing. It's very volatile with the emotions from fan base and I think external as well. And there's no sugarcoating it. They're not performing well. Haven't performed well in July. July is the worst month of the season, arguably. So that's that. And then you've got Collingwood this week, who are going to be celebrating the 400th game of Scott Pendlebury, which is a remarkable achievement in itself. He's a champion of the game. They are the champions of the AFL as it stands right now. They find themselves in a spot that I don't think many of us thought they would be. I think a lot of us hoped they would fall out like this. But the reality is it's not over. And I think it extends to a further conversation around hunger and desperation and fear. So the teams that we have lost to in the previous month have been knocking on the door of the end of their season. The Giants were out of the 8. I think they were 10th when we played them. The Dogs were the same. Port Adelaide were at the bottom end of the 8. A loss threw them out of the 8. A win put them back into the 8, back into contention. And so I think there is a real difference in desperation when you're talking about a team who, in our case, was sitting in the last month in that top 4 conversation, top 2 conversation, as opposed to a team playing for their lives. And I think in there is a lesson. When you are truly with your backs against the wall, there is a different type of ability to tap into your potential. A lot of us talk about, the fear of success, the fear of failure. I don't think you can ignore fear. I think fear is part of the key ingredient to moving forward and to progressing and to evolving. If we rewind from the lessons that we learnt a season ago, we were pushed to the brink of, when I say death, I mean death of the season and, not qualifying for finals. We were pushed to the absolute brink. We hit rock bottom, the bottom of the pit. It was dark. The light at the top of the pit was very small. It looked like it was a long way back. And the danger that we were able to play with was due to the fact that we removed the fear of losing, the fear of failure, because we had fallen so far deep into this hole and we had failed for so many years prior to that. It was just what we already knew. And what we then saw was this, what looked and seemed magical, but an ability to find this belief and play with this collective spirit. And this year's been different because for the majority of the year, we have not been with our backs against the wall. If anything, the last time we had our backs against the wall, metaphorically speaking, was earlier in the season. We had lost a number of players to injury. There was a fear factor around the fixture and the teams that we were facing. They were all in the top 8, top 4 conversation. And we were able to find evolution in a number of ways that we won, whether it was our resilience with our defenders or whether it was positional changes that worked in our favour. I think of Zach Williams, these types. Now we're in this really funny spot where the health of the list started coming back to us. We almost had too many options, and now we're left talking around positional changes and who's playing on the halfback, who's playing in the midfield, and the rotations and the tactics and the like. What I'm watching right now is a team that is just not playing a fearless way like it was. It's almost like we're thinking for a split second too long, combined with the fact that we are playing against opposition who truly have their backs against the wall because they're fighting to stay alive. And we're going to come up against another team this week that is fighting to keep their season alive. The reality is this. If Collingwood are to qualify for the finals this year, they need to win every game this year. They're one loss away from it all being over. So, yeah, on the one hand, it'd be great to beat Collingwood this week and end their season and, give them karma for what happened many years ago and all of that. But, thinking about it, that's great. The rivalry is awesome. Love to hate Collingwood. I'm going to be screaming my lungs out on Saturday night. Love to hate them. All of that. All good. We've got something way more important to achieve than just, retribution against Collingwood. It's a nice subplot. It's a nice narrative. It might serve as a moment of motivation when things get tough this week, potentially. Who knows? But the reality is we're playing for 4 points and we've got something so much bigger than Collingwood to fight for right now. There is an opportunity that is literally staring us in the face. The competition, everyone's faltering. Everyone is showing strengths and everyone has shown weaknesses. Every team in the top 8 right now, there are a few teams outside the 8 that are looking like they could make the 8. It's quite awesome if you're looking at it from an AFL lens. But I think from a Carlton lens, I've seen a lot of panic, a lot of giving up. And this is not to tell you how to support, but I think something I've learned over the journey is, do you dare to believe? To believe in something that you have no control over. That's ultimately what we're doing. Does it feel warm and fuzzy inside to push away the belief and the support of the team, where the alternative is to assume a loss and come away from a loss and say, oh, I knew it? You protect yourself a little bit. You protect yourself from believing and getting hurt. I think what we're seeing now is a really critical point in the year where everyone has got to lock into what they've got to do. Vossi will do whatever he needs to do to empower these players to perform their roles on the day together with his coaching staff. The players will prepare the way they do. They will recover the way they do, get their bodies ready for the game on Saturday night, go out there, talk to each other about what they're going to do and execute. And then the fans, what are we going to do? Are we going to sit there and just sort of wait and have a conditional element to the way in which we support in the crowd on Saturday night? Is that how it's going to be? It was sad to see the exodus last week. I think 3 minutes 39 to go, or 3 minutes 34 to go. We're down by 14 points and there's a mass exodus in the crowd. Whatever. The kids have got to get up in the morning. They got sport. They want to beat the rush. So I think our role as fans in this is to support. Our role in this is not to select the team. Our role in this is not to turn on each other. Our role in this is to actually rally around and get behind them. This is one of the most strong positions that the team has been in this far into a season in a very long time. Very, very long time. There's 4 weeks to go. They've had a shit month. There's another month incoming now. I don't know what's sitting around here moaning and complaining about how we might not win another game for the season. Can you just stop for a second and think about that? to think that it's just going to fall apart now. And you know what? It might. It's difficult. It's challenging. We've just endured a really tough part of the season and a tough stretch of results. But it's supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be hard. It's not meant to be easy. You are meant to be unsure of yourself. There is not meant to be certainty all year round that you are going to win a premiership. It's not guaranteed. None of it is. Whether it's what we watch on the footy field, whether it's what happens in our lives, like none of it is meant to go according to the way we want it to go. Otherwise, we would have won a premiership a long time ago. You know, these difficulties are still part of the journey. They are part of it all. And the fear of losing, the seeds of doubt, that is part of the process. And so why would we focus on the fear of losing when it hasn't happened yet? It's always disproportionately in favor of the fear of losing. And I think it's got something to do with the reality that winning's not for everyone. It's not. Not everyone has the courage to take the leap of faith with no safety net. Not everyone does. That's why winning is a minority. And, you know, we're living in this really funny time in this world where participation awards are there because feelings get hurt and, you know, there's maybe a thought that everyone can be a winner. It's not true. The reality is winners win. Losers will focus on winners and winners will focus on winning. And I think we're just going through a bit of a patch. I think that's what it is. I've got belief in the leaders at the club, off field, on field, to get it right. Maybe there needs to be a bit of a realignment with what got us here. You know, the humility, the hard work, the blue collar work. Like, we want to build based on our identity. I think we've fallen away from that a little bit, like the real tough stuff and the premiership habits that really I thought we were seeing for the majority of this season. They've fallen away a bit. So can we find them again? Can we get back to basics and watch this group hunt again? Because I think once this group lock into each other once again and start playing like their lives depend on it and start playing like there's a bit of a fear of the death of their season nearing, that is when we'll start seeing the best of them. And maybe it's just a case of that weird part in the season. They're tired, they're fatigued, their bodies are banged up. It's round 21. But so is everyone else. No one gives a fuck about how sore you are, about what's going on in your life. No one cares. In order to achieve the ultimate, it's about being able to overcome all of that, because everyone's sore right now in the competition. The difference is there are those who are fighting for their lives in this competition and those who have built some credits in the bank and they've built a bit of a cushion. I would say our cushion is no longer a cushion, and you could say we've wasted the cushion that we built, sure, but with 4 games remaining, 4 very winnable games, we could still find our way in the strongest position possible and then make a charge at it. There are potentially 8 weeks left of the 2024 experience on the field for this club. It's amazing. We're here. Final month of the regular season is here. Then we've got finals and then away we go. But it really just has to be about the Pies. I'm excited to be back at the MCG because I feel the MCG is where the soul of this game comes out. We've been playing at Marvel for a little while now. It is what it is. That's the way the fixture was set. Not going to complain about it. But I do miss the open air soul of the MCG. I think the purest footy gets played there. And I think Marvel has a touch of artificial about it. So I think it's a good thing that we're playing at the MCG. I think it's a great thing that we're playing Collingwood because Collingwood naturally invokes energy in the crowd. There's angst, there's tension, there's fear. And you've got the champs on the ropes. They're right there. They're right there for the taking. Right there for the taking. More importantly, a win clinches a spot in the finals for us. It would be our 13th, and it would be enough to at least qualify. And then after that, we go one by one and see where we land at the end. So I think we need to fire up a little bit. I'm sick and tired of this, moping around, complaining across the board. I sense it within the group as well. They're just not, they haven't ignited. They haven't found them. They've sort of lost their way a bit. Not too much. I don't think it's as devastating as what it is being made out to be. Being sensitive supporters as we are, it can maybe seem like it's worse than what it is. I don't believe it's as bad as what it has seemed to be. But we're at this point now where at some point the clock's ticking. You've got to switch on. So you're going to have a team that's knocking on death's door with their season, who are going to be playing for every second out there. And I think it'll bring the best out of us when you've got a team like that that's willing to do that. And then with us, we don't have the cushion of sitting second on the ladder. There is a reality that's now starting to creep up. And that is, if you don't find your form and you don't find each other and you don't find what got you here, which was that selfless work ethic for one another, as opposed to that self-preservation of one another, we're going to be in trouble. So it's all dependent on what they're willing to do, and if they're willing to, go through the discomfort that it's going to require to win this game, because it will. They will be so fired up, the Pies, this week. And if they smell fear within us, they will take it. That's what I remember about the last time we played the Pies. There was a hesitancy about us in some regard. It was almost like we were waiting for the killer blow to come, and sure enough, it did. So as much as I would love it to be a comfortable victory this week, I just think it's going to be a super tough assignment, and a great one, because we need it to be challenging. I don't want it to be easy. It's a blessing what's happened in the last month, because it's going to force us to find our best again. I would rather go through this challenging period where you've really got to ask questions about the team, about each other, and refine and push your way through and come out the other end. But it's going to take work. And I think what we saw in that second half last week, that's just so far away from what the level is and what the standard is. So that's that. Filming this early in the week, to be honest, I just want to get on with it. So it's Monday. We don't even have an injury report. Whether it's Boyd, Jack Martin, who are up to come back into the side, don't know. I don't really care. I couldn't care less what happens with selection this week, because whoever is going to be available this week will be enough to get the job done. It's really above the shoulders from here on in. We've proven our ability to match it with the best in the competition, so I don't have a doubt about that. It's just a matter of, can we play a brave style of footy, and can we go for it? Can we stop hesitating? And that's the way I see it this week. I mean, we've been through way too much, way worse than what we've seen in this last month for it to get us down. That's the way I see it. How many reminders do you need of what we've lived through in the last 5-6 years alone with this group? So I think that's why I'm frustrated, but it's not diabolical. And it just comes back to that notion, without a test, there can be no testimony. So I turn to you. What do you think about this week? Talk to us in the comments below about everything on your mind. More importantly, what's the solution? I'm kind of tired about focusing on the past and what's the problem. We need to identify the problem firstly, and then identify the solution. Am I thinking too simplistically when I look at this group and I say it's really in their heads? Or is it something so drastically structural with this group that needs to change, that's going to just be the missing piece to the puzzle to turn on the machine? Because that's where I'm at. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. My opinion is it's a mental issue with us right now. So Share with us in the comments around what you're thinking before round 21, about the opponent, about the Pies, and the solution to finding Carlton again, the solution to finding us again, and really igniting this entire fan base again, because we just haven't been full of force yet. We haven't switched on yet. And I miss it. Like, I miss going to the footy and the crowd just being absolutely up and about. Like, I miss that. Like, where is it gone? Is it conditional? Is it dependent on the players playing well? Can we generate that ourselves a little bit better? And I'm not just talking about the cheer squad. I'm talking about the entire stadium. I'm not talking about pointing the finger at someone else. I'm talking about looking in the mirror. So how do we find our energy? How do we beat the Pies? See you in the comments. Go Blues. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. On your way out, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also go and check out the BA shop. We've got hoodies, t-shirts, AirPods case covers, key rings, water bottles, and of course, the BA pin. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks again for your support. It really does mean the world. And of course, go Blues.